Little People, Big Dreams, Rudolf Nureyev, written by Maria Isabel Sanchez Vergara. In the freezing north of Russia lived a little boy named Rudolf. He preferred to spend hours alone inventing dance steps than playing hockey with the rest of the children. When he was 7, Rudolf went to the ballet with his parents and 3 sisters on New Year's Eve. Long before the theater lights came on, he knew he would live for ballet. His father thought that ballet was a girl thing and tried to change his mind. But Rudolf talked a little else, and soon he was enrolled in a class. It was not until he was 17 that Rudolf found his way to a professional school. His teachers thought his style wasn't very tidy. But what he lacked in polish, he made up for with intensity. Rudolf would launch himself into fabulous pirouettes, lifting his body higher than any other dancer. Soon he became one of the leading figures at the famous Kirov Ballet. He didn't like the trunks that male dancers wore back then and wanted to perform in tights like ballerinas did. But many things were prohibited in Russia in those days, and Rudolf had to give up this demand if he wanted to keep dancing. One day, Rudolf's company got permission to visit Paris. When Rudolf finished his performance, he received a standing ovation that lasted longer than the dance itself. And then there were movies, fancy shops, dinner parties. He was not supposed to mingle with foreigners while he was in France. But Rudolf snuck off from the Russian secret agents who were watching him and just enjoyed himself. On the day of his departure, Rudolf ran away from his guards and refused to get on the plane back home. He didn't want anyone to tell him how to dance or who to love anymore. He was left just with a suitcase, but what he carried in his mind was much bigger. Rudolf introduced dancing techniques from the East into the best Western companies. Rudolf danced for years with the famous Margot Fonteyn and showed the world that it doesn't matter who the dancer or ballerina is, great dancers simply deserve equal credit. For almost 30 years, he kept electrifying the world, bringing male dancing into the limelight and changing the course of ballet forever. Little Rudolf showed the world that there are not things for girls or things for boys, only things that you love doing with your whole heart. Rudolf Nureyev began his life in motion. He was born on a train speeding across Siberia. He spent his early years in Irkutsk, Russia, but his family had to leave when Germany invaded and they moved to another town called Ufa, where they lived in poverty. The town was bitterly cold in the winter, and Rudolf, a little boy of 5 years old, did not have any shoes. His mother carried him to school on her back. Although they lived in poverty, his mother managed to buy a single ticket to the ballet and sneak her children in. Rudolf was instantly captivated and asked his father for lessons. Unlike most future professional dancers, Rudolf only began his formal ballet training at age 17. He was not as good as everyone else, which sparked an intense work ethic that never left him. Rudolf was accepted into the Kirov Ballet in 1958 and immediately started making a reputation for himself, both good and bad. He refused to dance in the ballet shorts he was given, which he called lampshades, and insisted that he should dance in tights like Western dancers. Rudolf made a life-changing decision on a trip to Paris in 1961. He decided he would not return to Russia. After that, Rudolf danced practically every role with every company in the world, working with all the famous choreographers and dancers, including the most famous ballerina of the moment, Margot Fonteyn. Their partnership was electric. Rudolph's dancing was alluring and energetic and full of impressive jumps. Audiences loved them like rock stars, and people would wait in line for tickets. Rudolph also started to choreograph and direct his own ballet, which cemented his status as a legend. He is remembered as one of the greatest dancers in the world. The end.